Hey there, Austin Church here. Welcome back. We're going to do another lesson in this freelance business blueprint. But first, I just want to acknowledge this super cool ceiling fan that's growing out of my head. Let's just appreciate that for a second. Just kidding. Let's dive in. Okay, so when we left off, you had been working on your offerings, your service offerings. I always coach freelancers, try to convince them to narrow it down to three, at least in the beginning. Give your clients three choices with increasing price points. From there, we're going to go into potential markets and niches. Now, there's prevailing wisdom out there about how you've got to like niche down, you've got to focus on just one market vertical, just one subset of people. And I get that, but I also hear a lot of hesitation from freelancers around, well, what if I pick a niche and I don't like it? Like, what if I get my website set up and I'm speaking to this one group of people and then I find out that I don't like trying to go after universities, or I don't want to work with ad agencies. And so I say, well, if you're just getting started or if you're taking this opportunity to recalibrate your freelance business, pick two niches, not one, and you can come up with your value proposition for two niches. And then you can test them against each other, do a split test, and see which one you like working in more. But to start with, I recommend that you come up with four. And then once you've got four niches, you may remember in the last lesson I talked about Jenny. Jenny's our fake freelancer. Jenny was going to target law firms and startups, I think, and maybe restaurants. And then I always kind of recommend that you throw in friends and family. A lot of early clients will come from your personal network, and that's not a bad thing. So come up with four niches, and then once you have four that you think you might like to work in, you could go back to your preferences. You can see in the blueprint over here. Um, when I say preferences, I mean interests. Think about your interests, what you already like. It's not a bad idea to pick niches that overlap with what you already like. So if you're really into fashion, or you're really into like grooming or cosmetics, sure, throw like cosmetics and personal grooming companies in there. Maybe you could work with e-commerce business or direct to consumer brands in that space. So, not a bad idea. The more important thing, though, is to further evaluate the niches that you go after based on two criteria. First one, which of these niches, or I'll put it this way, do companies in these niches already value your skill set? Now, there may be something that you can do like brand consulting or copywriting or blogging or Instagram management. You may have valuable skills, marketable skills, but if you pick niches where the companies in that niche or that market or that vertical don't already pay for what you do, then trying to get clients in that niche is probably going to be an uphill battle. So, for example, let's say you do Instagram management. Which companies are already active on Instagram? And if you can't find many companies in your niche that are active on Instagram, it's probably going to be hard to say, hey, you really ought to get on Instagram, right? Or if you uh, decide that you want to go after e-commerce companies that focus on personal grooming and cosmetics, well, guess what? Going and persuading them that you can help them out on Instagram is probably going to be a whole lot easier. So that's the first criterion: is, do companies in this niche already value my skill set? Is there clear evidence that they will pay someone like me to do what I do? Then the second one is pretty similar to the first. And will they pay someone like me consistently, right? Is the value they place on my skill set something that is consistent? So, for example, if you were to sell blogging, you don't want to target a niche that will only buy a couple blog posts at a time. You want to target companies in a niche or vertical that really value content marketing and may end up paying for ghostwriting or blogging every single month, right? So as you think through niches and verticals, focus on the ones where you can reasonably expect for your clients to have a high lifetime value because they will buy from you again and again and again. If you think, okay, I can put 25 units of effort toward these two different clients, and client A is going to be worth $1,000 to me over the next 3 years. Client B is going to require the same 25 units of effort, but they're going to be worth $10,000 to me over the next 3 years. It's obvious which type of client you should go after, right? So, two criteria. Let me not get tongue-tied. Which companies already value highly my skill set, and which companies also will pay consistently for the type of work that I do. Pretty straightforward, right? So take the four, narrow the four down to the two that are most promising, and then you're going to dive into the customer profiles. Customer profiles are thinking through the core motivations and emotional drivers for a founder or a CEO or a marketing director, the decision maker in that niche. So, for example, with startups, you may be dealing with a founder. And what you're going to dive into in this exercise is thinking through what your founder's goals will be, pains and problems, needs and wants, and objections. And I would really encourage you to spend at least 30 minutes to an hour on this exercise. Really dig deep, at the very least 15 minutes for each person, right? So you have two, maybe one's for the managing partner at a law firm, the other one is for startup founder. You really want to dig in. And you might think, well, I don't know what the goals for a managing partner at a law firm are. Well, give yourself a little bit more credit. A business owner is going to have some pretty predictable goals. I want to grow my business. Maybe I want to cut down on waste. I want our profit margins to be better. I want to have fewer expenses, or at least fewer unnecessary expenses. Other goals might be, like for a startup founder, I want to establish myself as a thought leader. We really want to use our blog or our Instagram profile to get new clients. So you can, with some accuracy, guess at what the goals will be. I mean, if push comes to shove, you can always try to get one of these people on the phone or on a video chat and just ask them these questions. I'll even encourage clients from time to time to pay someone in your target audience, pay someone in your niche to do an interview with you. And in the interview, you could just run through these questions right here. Why do you object to hiring someone else to manage Instagram for you? Well, we really just think we can do it ourselves better. Okay, so how consistent have you been with Instagram to date? Well, that's a great point. We're not very consistent. So now you know that a pain point for startup founders when it comes to Instagram is consistency, right? So whether you interview a target, someone in your target audience or not, take the time to really dig in and try to understand what are the pains, what are the problems, what are the needs, what are the wants, what are their objections to hiring someone like you, what are their goals. And once you have some clarity around those, it's a whole lot easier to work on your messaging. So let me explain that quickly, and then we'll end this lesson. When we as freelancers typically communicate about what we do, we will emphasize the things that we're proud of. I have 11 years of experience. I have 2 degrees in English. I won this award, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, you are the managing partner at a law firm. What are you thinking about? You're not thinking, I really should go hire an award-winning writer to keep our blog up to date. They're probably thinking, gosh, every time I look at the blog, I am reminded that we haven't put up a new post in months. And it's a little bit embarrassing because we're not sharing our expertise. We're really good at what we do. We know our stuff. We're not using the blog to help out our community. We're not answering frequently asked questions so that when someone sends us an email and they never intend to hire us, well, we could still help them and make them go away if we just send them a link to a blog post that answers the question, right? So they're thinking about their own needs. They're thinking about, how do I make this problem go away? What's the fastest way to get the blog up to speed, right? So because you have done your work with goals, pains, problems, needs, wants, objections, it's pretty easy to flip that into I can help you with, right? So managing partner at a law firm, I can help you get your team's expertise down on paper. You all are really good at what you do. Let's prove that by writing high quality blog posts that you can share with your existing clients and that you can use to get new clients and create goodwill in your community, right? Or you're a founder at a startup who has an Instagram account that's a ghost town, right? I can help you create beautiful posts, keep your posting consistent and on schedule. I can help you grow your Instagram following and use Instagram to get new customers. So if you take the time to go deep when you're creating your customer profiles, you'll have everything you need to then flip all that stuff, repackage all that stuff into your messaging. And your messaging will be a lot better because you won't just be talking about yourself. You'll be talking about your target audience's needs, their desired outcomes, their fears, and the coolest thing of all is that you can sort of preempt their objections. Now, normally people say, I'm not sure I can hire you because there's really no good way for us to communicate our expertise. There's no time efficient way. Actually, partner at law firm, I have some very time efficient ways to pull out from you what you know, package that up into blog posts, and get that out there in the world where it can improve your reputation and get you new clients. So that's enough for now. I've given you a lot to think about. Your homework: brainstorm 4 potential niches, narrow them down based on the 2 criteria I gave you, and then set a timer and spend at least 15 minutes digging into the motivations and emotional drivers for the decision maker in your 2 potential niches. That way, later on, when you work on your messaging, you can quickly flip what's most important to them into messaging that will be on point. That's all for now. Get to work. See you in the next lesson.